We run an organization called the Trigger Project, which John is part of as well, and part of our work is to change how social workers, psychologists, and educators learn about Black boys and trauma using art. And most all the art is created by John ADEkoje, and so it's a pleasure to have him up here. But the power of art that builds discussions that we need to have is everything right now. And as we look at education, we've had the ability to be able to use film to having really rich conversations, but to also to educate people on Black men, right? So they can see, and with all the films, very clearly we can see the humanity of the Black men, but we also can see how the emotional injuries play out, right? And see, all these things that we carry. So, it's really, that's why this block is so important. And it's important that we're having this meaningful discussion because folks are learning more about us and what we carry. But if they don't know, then how can they learn to deal with us, right? And so that's why all these films are incredibly important. So, but Rox, I know you're gonna say something brilliant, so do you?
No, I was just gonna say, it's not gonna be that brilliant. I was gonna say is not deal with, it's actually support and understand, right? And get beyond, the throughway through all the films is get beyond what the mask, right? What the mask has to be in order to be okay. To be outside, to get out of the house, to get out of bed, to just do the thing. And I'll just say, we haven't met the filmmakers because we're just meeting y'all now. So we would like to hear your name and what film you're representing so that we can make sure that we do our due diligence.
Awesome, so I'm still catching my breath. Drinking too much water, y'all. My name is Trey Hazelwood. I'm the writer, producer, director of Emascipation.
My name is Giovanni. I am the director of Escaping the Stigma. I'm Tyler Josma, and I was the actor of Breaking the Silence.
I'm John ADEkoje, and I put together Breaking the Silence.
We're going to do this, we do it probably a little different than what we normally do, but we're going to ask a question to all of you, and then we're going to involve the audience and have them ask some questions and go back and forth, just so we try to make it a little more interactive. So, Rox, you got that first question? Oh, actually, do you want to give your, you didn't tell them what you do and stuff, so, like.
I didn't. So I'm a social worker, and I work as a therapist. And part of my role is sort of consulting and supporting the Trigger Project. So the Triggered Life movie that these two were in cahoots around, I consulted on to really make sure that you were getting that effect of feeling triggered, right? So that we could really help you understand getting into the minds of those two men, those two Black men, and what was happening for them. So that's me.
Okay, and do you have a social work soliloquy on all of this, all the through line and stuff? I gotta ask that question.
I think I did that already. Did you
miss
it?
That was it?
I mean, no, that was just the beginning, but I think, did you miss it?
I might have missed it. I thought there was gonna be more, so.
No, that's
all
it
right.
for now.
Well, let's get to the first question.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So tell me a little bit about the meaningfulness of this for you. Right? So you did this work, you have these stories, you played these roles in that, right? And now we're seeing it. We're seeing your art, we're seeing your narratives, right? You're reflecting for us. So just tell me what it feels like. What does it mean right now to be sitting right here and have people sort of witness?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, what it means to have an entire block of these films is that the conversation is being had, right? Because I feel like that's the reason why all of us up here created the films that we had. We felt like there was a lack of conversation that was being had around the Black male identity. And so that was one of the number one inspirations for my film, I'm sure for some of the others up here as well.
Awesome.
First, I want to thank God for just being up here, because I feel like my art is something that I get very nervous about showing it to people, and especially a film like Escaping the Stigma, and just the topic that it's tackling, and just the people that gave their voice and gave their story to even make this story happen. I feel like it's a powerful thing to even just be able to share that with other people. Like that just means a lot, you know, to me.
Thank you.
It's a big part of representation to see people of color, Black men and women, just be able to be on this stage and talk about what's going on.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that should be coming from our perspectives and our voices that isn't being had. So the fact that myself and other filmmakers here throughout this festival are taking that space and making our voices heard is very powerful.
Thank you.
This is a little different.
You always got to throw a curveball, John. You know that.
No.
You've been rolling with us
You
for
gotta
a
be
long
ready.
time.
You gotta be ready.
Because normally I will come up with the idea and come up with the concept and all of that. This was in service of an issue, and so I had to embrace as much as possible. So the style is quite different from what you would normally see I do. So I tried my best to be in service of the topic and the people involved as much as possible.
Yeah, so I probably want to ask you probably a more film question. Is I know you've used a lot of imagery, a lot of colors, but what brought you to bring, and you've done projection, right? But what brought you to animation? Because that was something new that I thought was really brilliant. How you brought that in, and I felt like we needed that. In the story, it almost represented his little kid, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I mean, so there was, the company, Dragonfly, tries to do boutique filmmaking. And so having a back and forth conversation with Tyler and the whole crew behind this, it took about 3 months just to understand, and I knew that during this conversation, we can cut to B-roll, but I don't want to I want to make sure that the emotion coming from Tyler is genuine. It's,
right.
You can feel what he's saying.
Yeah.
Versus me as a editor, chop chop.
Chop, chop.
So I try my best not to make sure that whatever I put up there is conveying how he's feeling.
right,
As much as possible. So I felt animation could do a good job doing that.
yeah,
I know we talked a lot about where a lot of experiences came from when I was 6 years old and that scene there. So
yeah,
it was difficult to, one, put me in that position back to remember those things,
right,
but also to showcase them. So we had a lot of conversations on that, how to show it. And I remember we looked at post, and when there's the calendar marking, it actually was the month of my birthday, and we talked a lot about that. So it was definitely powerful to go back and forth and to have a filmmaker who's also a man of color. So
yeah,
that went really far.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, thank you for
Important. Are we gonna take a question
Yes,
from the
we
audience?
take a question from
Question,
the audience
comment?
if they, or a comment. Don't, okay, good. I was gonna say, y'all gonna take advantage of this. Yes, in the back, you probably have to use your extra loud voice.
Yeah, happy to be loud here. Want to say thank you all for the film. I'm especially appreciative of Gio's film. But a question to all the panelists here. I know as you go throughout the creative process and make something, sometimes things can surprise you in terms of like whether different truths you want to cover or different things you reflect on and the way things impact you. So maybe a question to the panelists. Did anything surprise you as you made these films?
Yes, the question was, did anything surprise you during this film process?
So, we're just gonna go down the line.
Right, I mean, you can use popcorn, doesn't matter.
Right.
You know.
One thing I definitely want to say surprised me with the process of creating Emascipation was the casting process, honestly. And understanding how much stigma is attached to the Black male identity, and seeing that a lot of actors were dropping from our casting once they read deeper into the characters. And so, for instance, Dr. J, he was a character that I knew that just had to be there, because I feel like we never get to see on screen a very masculine Black man and a very feminine Black man be forced to interact, right? Usually whenever that happens, you know, they might be in a room together, they don't really talk to each other.
Right.
And so I'm like, we were to put them in a room together and they had to speak to each other, what would that look like?
Right.
And so to see that quite a few people were dropping from Kelsey just because they had to interact with a feminine man was like surprising, but not surprising to me. And it was kind of disheartening. And so that was something that was definitely surprising for me throughout the process.
Yeah.
Wow, a whole nother stigma. On top of a stigma,
right? Just
top
being
of
in,
another
right?
one.
Just being in the scene. So thank you for that moment, because we needed to see that moment, and that was an issue that's an issue sometimes that we need to face, right? We need to face that. So thank you for that. Thank you for that moment, because that's real.
I think for me, it was more just knowing that the original question for me in making the documentary was, why don't Black men talk about their mental health issues? Like, why do they avoid having that conversation?
Right.
I think, you know, being in a space with these men that were willing to be vulnerable to even share these things, something you don't know what's gonna come out, because you really just see men, like usually people show you what they want to show you, but then when you're sitting in front of an interviewer and you have the cameras in front of you and you could literally say just about anything, you know, just allowing yourself to go into a deep place and just sharing something so vulnerable, that's very shocking, because you don't expect it. Like, you don't know what that person is gonna say. So at the same time, when they do say something that's so deep, it's even more shocking. So like you saw Wes at the end, he said, you know, he thought about killing himself. But one of the things that he said before that is, he said that he doesn't really speak about that publicly. So to even be able to do that for a film, and knowing that the film is going to be seen by other people, is like, that's a level of vulnerability that you can appreciate in someone.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for creating that space, right? Because that goes down to you know, for everybody, being able to create a safe space on set where folks to be vulnerable and just be them. That, like, we can't take that for granted. You know what I'm saying? So thank you all for that, and giving people the ability and the agency to tell their story.
I'm just gonna say though that providing these moments, what you're doing is you're letting the body process what it feels like to hear the words out loud and and have witnesses, right? That's exposure therapy, and that's what y'all are doing. And it's important to name it because it's very effective when people's voice have been silenced or taken away from them.
To your point about exposure therapy, is that I was very, very quiet about any diagnoses or experience I've had before the film. I remember I did a post, the first post I did about breaking the silence, and I remember saying, now I'm gonna talk openly about it. And that was about a year ago now. Fast forward to now, it caused a lot of reflection within myself, but also recognition of my community. So since then, the work I've been able to do within myself, but also within these spaces of talking about mental health, being within communities that look like me or otherwise, and being able to be that space. So being open about what is going on with me, but even caused me to look into, this space and this voice I have, you can only imagine what can be to someone who wasn't experiencing what I was 10, 15 or so years ago, and how powerful it is. I still think about a lot of the writing I've done in the last year, and doing these poems or music, whatever it was, and even other projects, and people come up to you and say, I need to hear that. So, this is what we need to do a little bit more of. So it takes men like us, and people like us, no matter where you come from, to create that space, like you said.
Yeah, that's
Be the brave one.
Thank you. And there's also something that's about something special when you work with ADEkoje, that once you start telling your story through that lens, you can't stop. Right, I know that from myself when, just talking about, being a survivor of sexual abuse, and John being able to help tell that story, there's a different level of confidence that I have, but also because once you put it on film, tell our stories and we put them on film, then you can't be any more naked than that.
We're talking about deepest, darkest things that
Yes.
I'm sure, from my perspective, I wanted no one to know about.
Yes.
I've had experiences where you see the look in someone's eye change, and you know you're never going to get that back. So over time, you're saying, I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to be comfortable with what I have now because I'm so terrified of going down that road again, or saying, I've been through this, and all right, go ahead. Now I need you to provide. I need you A, B, and C. So.
Right.
That is beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, what else can I say about that? I mean, as a therapist, right? It's beautiful. And I've gotten to a point where, and the work that we've done, where I have a lot more male clients. And, you know, one of the things that's absolutely critical, which is what you're all sort of reflecting in your work, is you must center emotions. I actually give paper with a list of emotions, right? Because people come in and say, I'm okay. Well, I don't know what okay looks like for you. I know what okay looks for me, right? So I'm like, no, here we go. Here's a piece of paper. Mark the emotions and tell me what it is today, right? To get you to practice. And that's what you're talking about. It's like you're practicing this. And you had this opportunity to do that. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Every day I see a lot of young men who I work with, and they're saying, you feel that wound they have that they don't talk about these things, or that I have to go through that. And slowly but surely, that safe space, like you said, you see them open up, and you see how over time they grow to be who they are. So.
Yeah, especially as a Puerto Rican man as well. She's New Rican,
really?
Right here. We got there's always a Puerto Rican. Anything with John does.
Anything with John, there's a Puerto
always
Rican.
some Puerto Rican stuff in there. So, like, so this is her. But even more so as a Puerto Rican man, we don't see this type of honesty. And one thing I'll say before we get to this question is, you know, the through line for me and what I was seeing was. The stigma of manhood, right? And, you know, the greater question is how we all learned about manhood, right? Because we saw how it was put on us, most definitely, right? But then there was also, well, what's the choice that we have to make and to define our own manhood, right? But we all saw it all with, and I say it all the time, all the things that I learned about being a man were all the same things in the way of my healing. And so, you know, I saw that process in each one questioning how I learned it, right? And then just that lens around mental health as well, and that stigma that came along with that. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, how do we all learn about manhood? Was that part of what was given to us when they gave us the book? Because sometimes people hide behind scripture as well. But there's all these different messages, and, you know, growing up as you know, young boys, sometimes we're not allowed to go through that emotional cycle. You fall down, you cry, right? And then you wipe off your tears, right? And then you move on. Most of the time it's, why are you crying? Let's stop that. You're sensitive, you're this, you're that. But, you know, through these films, y'all are giving us the opportunities for us to redefine that, but for all of us to redefine that, regardless of how you identify, how you learn about manhood can dictate how you show up in relationships with other people. And we all need to take a look at that and try to redefine what that is so we can have these rich conversations.
Yeah. Sorry, I was in deep thought.
No,
I just want to say that women need to do that too. That's,
yes.
that's the thing I want to say, right?
Yes.
Because in my relationship, I had to figure out how I reposition myself as a wife, as a woman, but also as a therapist. Because, you know, when the story came out, I froze. I didn't know what to do. And then I realized, I never got trained on how to work with Black men. Actually, Black men didn't exist in my social work program. They were non-existent. And so it wasn't until this real life experience where I was like, oh, I need to fix something. Something needs to be fixed because we cannot have this, right? I love this black man and I want that for all of us. But I also had to relearn what manhood was, right? Because I had a toxic parent that taught me about manhood.
Yeah, but let's get to a question.
Look at that, we got
we
a
got
flurry
two.
now.
We got two questions. We got two or three. I'm gonna start here, then I'm gonna come to you, Lorraine. Yes, yes, miss.
I just wanted to say, thank you so much for this level of intimacy and honesty. As a mother who raised young men, they're grown, well grown, so grown that you owe me my kids, but, and you know, going through mental health, if you need help, you have to come under umbrellas, you have to have a name on it, and unbelievably how my family pushed away, friends pushed away. It's almost like we had a disease. It's almost like people do when someone dies, you know, a spouse dies, they're like, oh, we must have a curse or something like that. But I appreciate you because I fought for my son, but he took his anger, he needed to channel his anger, and I thought it came back, but not until he became a dad. He understood my fight. But we hang, you gotta hang in there with the kids, you know. Sometimes you have the low moments and you have the high moments. But I just thank you for giving me an insight of some of the things I may not understood what was going on, or I thought I was protecting him from how other families related. And then the masturbation, you know, that is hilarious. That is good. It's not hilarious, it's funny to me because my sons didn't trust their father to ask them what was going on. He would bring me outside and in the driveway to ask me why his sheets was wet. He thought his brother had reporters in the house. Somehow somebody would find out. But I thought it was honorable that he trusted me. But I'm a woman, you know, so I had to create other male relationships outside the home to say all of this, everybody's saying. You know, we went through the police thing. When my younger son has anxiety, every time police come around, or he's always thinking it's a conspiracy. So I live everything you guys are saying, but I've seen it at a so profound. And I want to know, you could not have done this without something changing in you. So what has changed in you since you exposed it? And I'm sorry for being long-winded, but I want you to know how much you touched my life and how I can go back home and be better.
Thank you. I can't do the whole comment, but we'll get to the question of what changed in you to be able to make this? Is that?
After.
What changed after? What changed after the process of making the film?
I'll try not to be long-winded as well. First of all, thank you for sharing that. And I think it touched me a lot, especially as someone who was raised by a single mother for 12 years. Because I recently had to have a conversation with my mom about how she was a great parent, but I think the challenge that comes with a single parent is that, at least for me, it was time when I needed my mom, but she was my dad. And there was times where I needed my dad, but she was my mom, right? And so I think the thing that changed in me, or honestly, I feel like the change happened beforehand, which is what inspired the project in the first place, was one, growing up queer in the South, which was its challenge in its own, and kind of becoming an adult and realizing that my identity was an entire performance, like because of, you know, performing masculinity, because of patriarchy, because of misogyny. I got to being an adult where I realized that, oh, I really don't know myself. So I had to go through the process of rebuilding myself from scratch. And who am I, essentially? And another huge part of that inspiration too was I discovered one of my favorite authors now, Bell Hooks. And reading The Will to Change completely changed my life. And gave me so much new perspective in terms of how to look at myself, look at my identity. And so, yeah, I think the thing that changed in me was just realizing that I can't be 100% who I am in this conformed box of what society wants me to be. And so once I realized that, that's when I realized that when I felt like it made me a lot more appreciative of my queerness, because I feel like had I not had that, I probably wouldn't have put as much effort into interrogating that, because I feel like most, Black men, they'll, recognize it, but, that's just how it's supposed to be. Right. And so it's just like, you don't really challenge that, but I had a little bit of extra push in challenging the narrative, essentially. And so, I would say that would be my answer for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So for myself, after making Escaping the Stigma, it was originally a film that was supposed to be a undergraduate research film for the school. I genuinely thought that I was going to do it, submit it to school, and call it a day. I thought that was it. Wes in the film, he kept saying, "Well, you're doing a big thing. This is a big deal that you're doing." I'm like, I don't see it, bro. I'm a filmmaker. This is a powerful topic, yeah. But then as soon as I'm done with this, I'm turning it into school. It's I gotta do this. And then just showing that last clip at the Star Symposium at the school, and just seeing the effect on the crowd of people. And the school is very salt, not enough pepper, if you understand what I mean. But there's a whole lot of salt there, not a whole lot of pepper. So just seeing the effect that it even had on them was very powerful in of itself, and it wasn't the entire film. And also being able to screen it at Long Beach, and just also noticing the people that it affected. One of the professors that came with us for the showing, he had left the room right after the film was done, and I met up with him the next day. He was like, I couldn't be there because I wasn't gonna let anybody see me be emotional or whatever. And so he was like, I related to Kern, which is the one with his son, and I was like, that's so crazy. Showed it to my mentors, and all these people are white, and it dawned on me that the problem, I was looking at Black males, but I think there's a bigger problem. It's just men in general. They just don't talk. They just don't. They don't share so much what's going on the inside. So just making the film and showing that this is what happens when you give people space to share what they're going through. You allow them to actually be real with themselves, and really share what's going on, and also allows the community that's there to support them to also be there. Because if they don't share, then how will the community know that they need it? You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's what I learned from Escaping the Stigma. It's a very powerful notion, powerful idea. It's not just the person, but the people around the person is just as important in the person's growth.
Thank you.
So Breaking the Silence was a big motivator in the work I do now, working within mental health, working with cognitive behavioral therapy, because it showed me a lot of what I can do, a lot of the space I have, how rare it is. And for me personally, in the last year, it was happening during filming. So to this day, when I watch it, I think about things I held back on saying. And not that I didn't say everything that needed to be said, but there are some things I held back about the family situation. So I realized from the making of the film, and from the first time we filmed, a lot of it was going into the voiceovers, the reshoots. So during that year, I call it my reflection year, my seeing what was going on year, and this is more of a perseverance year, is because I went back to my mother's household, which was very much not a happy household, right? And I was there for a very long time. I built a stronger relationship with my father, and for that reason, I saw that if I wanted to do the work I'm doing, I had to do the work myself. Because a big part of, I'm not sure if you could talk about, I'm sure you could talk about this, is separating yourself from what's going on. So I said, I don't want to put this on myself, my family, future partners, or whatever is going on, because that is going to continue the cycle, and therefore I would be damned if I'm a hypocrite of what I'm doing. So that past year of 2024, it was just going through that, going back and forth, and realizing this is where I need to be. So going into this year, it has just been becoming comfortable with this refined, growing person that I've become. Being very upfront about talking out things with family and therapy myself. So if I'm gonna be an advocate, I need to do the work myself and giving myself grace, but also not giving myself excuses.
That's right. And John, I have a question. I have a question for you because I know you're looking at me like, why are you asking me questions? But you are a filmmaker. But you've told these incredibly powerful stories, right? We can go back. I mean, we can go back to Love Jones. We can, Nurse Betty. We can go to Triggered Life. We can go to Red Monster, and now Tyler. How has that changed you as a filmmaker with your process, if it has? Because you're the holder of all of these stories. And then figuring out a way to be able to tell us in such a graceful and effective way.
Technically, I try not to, whether it's how you light, where you place the camera, what kind of lens you choose, try not to invade the space as much as possible so it's not about me, because it easily could be. I could.
Heck yes.
So, beautiful filmmakers here, and by the way, beautiful work, very beautiful work. So it could take over and become your thing. So I try my best not to do that. What you've learned over the years is that it's important to make, whether it's a narrative or it's a documentary, it's very important to make people comfortable. To be as comfortable as possible. And you can't do that if you're a selfish person and you want to make a film about somebody else. You have to give the space for them to express themselves. In connection to the question, like what has changed, as a Nigerian American, sometimes I can get super Nigerian. Meaning in the classroom when I'm teaching and somebody's misbehaving, I could get to the Nigerian side, which is, you better stop. In a different way.
Yes.
However, through these stories, I know there's something else going on. And so it stops me from immediately jumping to that conclusion and really empathizing with the student, empathizing, trying to figure out what is going on before I make a big conclusion that is not correct. No,
thank you for that. Thank you for bringing that African context into the room, because that is always part of your work. But I know we are running out of time. Thank you.
I think we're out of time.
We're out of time?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We're running.
Oh, you got my clock?
No, our clock is in the back row.
Thanks, Rox. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You see why she's doing what she does, But thank you, Black men. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for showing us what we need to see. Thank you for the work. We so appreciate it. Thank you to ROXFILM. Thank you to our Bayesian sisters, our technical family. What you got, Rox?
Can you please make sure you keep holding us accountable to show up? Right? That's what y'all did. You made us show up. Please keep making us show up.
Yeah, Rox. Thank you all so much. This is Living the Trigger Love podcast live at ROXFILM. We're on all platforms, and remember, you're no longer surviving, you're thriving, and you've earned that. Thank you all. Good night.